So, first of all, what an amazing place for us to be today. As I walked around and saw all the startups and met some of the entrepreneurs, I thought to myself, what a fantastic vision of the future. And to see young men and young ladies all working together is just so inspiring. And I'll tell you though, most of us are involved with mid-size and large companies that aren't in startups anymore, that aren't startups. And yet, they need that same startup thinking all the time. It is such a wild time to be in business right now because every single industry is going through massive disruption. And whether it's retail, media, communications, telecommunications, financial services, logistics, manufacturing, utilities, absolutely everyone is rethinking what business are they in and figuring out how best to serve their customers. And it's in many ways, it's a very, very scary time because all of this disruption leads to one of two outcomes. It is either a terrifying end or a phenomenal opportunity. And the reality is that what we think about is how to take this moment and allow our customers to truly leverage it. And I will be completely frank with you, Oracle itself had to look inwardly and then outwardly to the needs of our customers to figure out what our future would be. And luckily for us, we have a true visionary in Larry Ellison, true genius, frankly, who saw the future already 2 decades ago. And in fact, I think many of you knew that we believe that the cloud and big data and what is now called artificial intelligence, which is all about data and computing, that would be very critical in the future. And we made investments now decades ago. And whether it was in rewriting our entire technology stack built on Fusion and the database to build our new applications, or it's to make ultimately our database really a cloud product with multi-tenancy, active data guard, what was called parallel server, real application clusters, Exadata, all those technologies. And we spent all of that investment now, for decades actually, building a product that would really be there for the future, technically. But one of the things that I didn't realize was that we actually had to change our entire business to really be able to serve our customers in the cloud. You see, historically, as a business, we would write our software, and sometimes we'd help install it, but most times our partners would do that, and our customers would be responsible for those systems. And those were usually large transactions that we would custom design for each one of our customers. Now, in the world of the cloud, that's just not what you do anymore. You see, in the world of the cloud, for companies like us, we have to be much more responsible. We've got to manage our customer success. But even before we're running those clouds, and we've got the right people to focus on customer success and maintaining them, we actually had to look at our own, even what you would call the most mundane things, like our back office. And I thought Oracle was very well known for having sort of the software back office gold standard, because we ourselves had gone through a massive transformation, operational transformation, almost 20 years ago, where we simplified and standardized and all those things. And I thought, how hard can the move to the cloud be for us? I don't think it's going to be very hard. We know what we're doing. And you know what I learned? It's actually very hard, because we had to look at our business very differently. We had to understand that now we had to do smaller transactions much more often. Now, if we had, when all of a sudden your transaction volumes go up by 10 times, if not more, you just can't have humans touching every piece of it. Is it true that some things need the human touch? Yes, very much so. But what we instituted was internally. We simplified our processes, and now nearly 85%, no, more than 85% actually, of our transactions are completely touchless. The sales force and the customer design what they'd like. It's configured, priced, quoted, invoiced, everything provisioned, all entirely electronically. And you know what? Aside from the fact that things move from taking 14 days, 29 days, to taking a day, to taking just a few hours. But aside from the fact that we do things much, much faster, and that it's much, much cheaper, the most interesting piece is that there's much less error. And when I walk around and talk to the operational folks at most of my customer sites, you know what I see? I see that most of them, what they're trying to figure out is they're very, very focused on what technology they want to implement, how technically to make the changes in their old legacy systems that are holding them back. But in fact, what I point out to them is that in fact the hardest part is the change in what those jobs really look like. It's the change in the processes they're so used to. It's also the change in the skills that are necessary. In nearly every case, these transformations, yes, of course, they include technology, because of course, users, whether they're customers or employees or partners, they all have much higher expectations than they used to. I mean, when I started going to work, 36, dating myself, but nearly 40 years ago now, I went to work to get the newest technology. I mean, it was much better than anything I had at home. Now, most employees go to their job and the technology they've got at work is at least 10 years older than what they've got in their pocket. And the reality is it shouldn't be that way. It doesn't even make sense. Why is it that way? And what we realize is our customers will not stand for it. Whether you're a bank or a media company or a retailer, our customers expect to be able to get what they want when they want it. They want to shop anytime. They want to bank anytime. They want to watch any movie or show anytime, anywhere. And our employees, they expect to be able to do their job on their phone, on their iPad, from home, from travel. It just can't be the way it was. And what I've seen as I've talked to customers here in London, really all over the world, and I will be honest, they don't let me out very often because I run day-to-day operations. I am not in sales. So I only get to see, a small percentage of our total customers. And most of the time, what I'm talking about, what I'm learning about, is how they're handling the disruption, the massive disruption in their industries. And what balances it out for me is that I also get to meet the folks who are riding our technology to create that same disruption in those industries. And I will tell you that what is most critical is that customer focus, is that meeting those demands. And it's a really interesting time, I think, because market share is up for grabs. If you're a bank, if you're a retailer, if you're a manufacturer, all those things, market share is up for grabs. And what that means is that it's either a disaster or an unbelievable opportunity. And the very best way to capitalize it is to really review your assets and learn how to make better decisions much more quickly. And one of those ways, for example, and it's interesting, so I've been in the software industry for so many years that I remember when the original talk of AI started, okay? Some of you, there's probably no one old enough in here to remember, but we would work on Lisp-based machines, and we would sit and write rules so the humans would try to think about any outcome the data or the transaction could create, okay? And decade after decade, we'd hear, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Artificial intelligence, coming. I'm here to tell you. And really, I've been an incredible cynic for decades now. It's actually here. And I want you to understand why, and I'm sure many of you do. It's because the power and the price of compute has gone way, way down. Way down. Those Lisp machines, those boxes, they cost $5 million a box in those days. There's more compute in your phone than were in those, okay? There's probably more compute in your watch, okay? Compute, way, way cheaper. Data, absolute piles of it, stored at tiny prices. And so what's happened is the ideas behind AI have completely turned on their heads, because now the data tells a story. You see, AI today is nothing short of pattern recognition. The data writes the rules. The data tells the story. The data teaches the machine. And that's what this is all about. And it's being able to harness that most enterprises have only started to do. And you see, AI is no longer a thing in itself. You see, the real power of AI is having it a piece of everything we do. See, at Oracle, for example, we talk about autonomous database. What is autonomous database as a service? Well, what it is that your Oracle database is run by a system that detects all issues before they become issues. that sees, let's say, a slowdown in one of 100,000 databases, sees a pattern, shuts it down, puts it back up, and then before it becomes a pattern, everyone else allocates more memory, does whatever needs to be done, shuts down a SQL call, whatever is necessary. And it's all done without human intervention. So here it is in something as mundane as managing databases, mundane but important. And it's a piece of that. Or it's used in figuring out which suppliers are your best suppliers, how to forecast into the future. All of that is now the power that is in the hands of managers. You see, and what it's causing is a complete transformation of everybody's job. As some of you know, I'm the principal financial officer at Oracle. I've been CFO 3 times. We decided I've got it right. We're getting rid of the title. And so as principal financial officer, I'm also responsible for all of our finance organizations. Now, finance has gone through one of the most critical transformations ever. Because as many of you know, finance was always focused on what just happened. They were no less than sitting in the back seat of a car, looking backwards. Their job was to make sure the past is perfect. Okay? Great. Not that helpful. I mean, required, but not really helpful when you're running a business. You see, what's possible now between the capability of the systems, the inexpensive nature of compute and analysis, the move to the cloud, all of that has unleashed enormous tools for finance to sit in the front seat. They can drive or they can be co-pilot to the business. They can actually advise the lines of business on how to make better decisions. They can bring together data points to say, when this happens, we should do that. We should invest in this and not that. Instead of looking in the back and saying, well, that didn't work out, or gee, that did work out, they could say, let's do this. Let's advise this. And I'll tell you, at Oracle, I've seen a complete transformation of what my finance people do. And in fact, all my lines of business folks, they don't go anywhere without their business partner. And that's the kind of capability, because what that allows is for you finally to get a sense of how to make better decisions. For decades, these IT systems have been nothing more than historical records of transactions. Now these systems can allow you and us to communicate with our customers, to market to our customers, to recommend to our customers, and to meet their needs on a completely different and much better timescale. And, you know, for folks like us at Oracle, I mean, we look at this change as our opportunity to be #1 in every one of our markets, but it also means that our responsibility to every one of our customers is greatly enlarged. It means significantly more collaboration. It means a much more inclusive and participatory path with our customers. And that is absolutely true, I believe, no matter what industry all of you are in. Because our customers now, their expectations are very, very high. And the new challengers, the fintechs, the new media, the new platforms, all of those, unbelievably empowering or incredibly competitive. And it's interesting because most people feel like moving quickly is very risky. And in fact, like today, I'm going to talk with a couple of really unbelievable executives who I think really see that moving slowly can be fatal and moving quickly is an amazing opportunity and can really, really lead to a phenomenal future. The last thing I want to say, though, before I invite them up here, is that one thing doesn't change. No matter what environment you're in, ultimately, the most important direction on whether you will be successful is about having the courage to move forward and having a team that is both motivated and skilled to reach the destination. And that is to meet the customer needs, because as much as, you know, I'd like to say it's the technology, and with all the AI and all the machine learning, you need to know that the difference between success and failure invariably is about leadership, about teamwork, and about focus on the customer and the mission. And that is possible only with people.